Woke up today with Amanda and Alex giving me a FaceTime call. And Alex said, "Daddy, I miss you and I love you." Yeah, I feel ready to go home. Bye-bye, hotel room. Not really a huge fan of the whole traveling home stuff, because then you feel less excited than what you did when you were initially going to this place. But right now I'm feeling pretty pumped on coming home so I can hug Alex and Amanda. But the time in Canada has been freaking fantastic. There's so many nice people here in Canada that I'm just super happy to have met. Hanging out with Jesse, Peter, Josh, Lee, Gerald, Chris. So much fun. And I'm super glad that I vlogged the entire thing, because then it's gonna be reminded for the future, and I can always go back and look at those memories. I think that that is the key thing when I'm saying like document what you do and then piece something together from that, because if you don't document or if you don't take photos, you don't even have to post the videos. You can just save it for yourself on your hard drive and make some sort of like highlight reel for your own memories to like stay fresh. But it's one of the things that makes me happy to look back at in like 1 year, 2 years, 3 years from now. So I can always go back to those videos and join in on that exact moment again. This is gonna be the first time in a business class lounge. Every time I've flown business class now, which is 2 times, I've never had the time to go to the lounge. Take a look at that. They even have a shower. Who would have known? Take a look at this. All you can eat buffet. It's black coffee. Thank you. I usually post my Q&As onto Instagram. I post them as a story because I don't find it necessary to be up for like several different days. This lens is just wild. I don't know if you can see it, but it jumps up and down with the aperture. My stories are the place where you can ask me questions, or on Twitter. So I highly recommend to follow there as well. And also, don't forget to subscribe. Is the CV1 still current, or the A7S III all of the time and everywhere? No, I don't use CV1 as much as I would love to, mainly because the battery is very bad in the CV1. The image quality is great, but the A7S III trumps it in every other way. And my iPhone is always with me, so it just makes it easier to shoot, because I don't have to think about the battery, since I'm using this when I'm driving to work and then charging it at the same time. But I do think that CV1 is one of the perfect cameras to start out with if you're thinking about getting one. What is your biggest regret? Wow, that's a heavy question. I think I've said it before though, I don't really have any regrets, because everything that I've done has kind of shaped me up into what I am today. But if I'm gonna say something that I wish I'd known or wish I'd done earlier, it would definitely be to invest more money into savings and stock market and index funds. Are you a perfectionist? And if that's the case, how do you do to not get stuck because you're not satisfied in that kind of stuff? I'm not a perfectionist. I'm more like, done is better than perfect. Off it goes. What is your favorite lens for your A7S III? I'm gonna go with the 16-35 GM lens. I love it. But it also starts to feel a little bit old, so be aware of that if you're buying it, because I think they might drop a new one in like, what are you doing right now? I am actually sitting in the business class lounge for the very first time. Have you had Tim Hortons coffee and donuts yet? Yes, I had a black coffee on Tim Hortons. It was the worst coffee that I have ever had in my entire life. Do you use ND filters on your drones? Most of the time, no. What is one thing about your trip that so far that has surprised you? The distance that you have to go between the different places here in Canada. It's wild compared to Sweden. Do you see yourself retiring as a filmmaker or content creator and go back to a normal job? No. I don't. I do see myself moving into a different kind of business, but I think that YouTube will still be around in 10 years. And I think that as long as you can stay relevant during the time that you're on the platform, that is basically what's going to matter. Are you enjoying Canada, and can they convince you to move there? First off, I love Canada. Fantastic country, fantastic people. I'm super glad I went, but I could never live here. Do you think it's still worth starting a photography YouTube channel these days? Honestly, I'm gonna say no on that question, because I think it's too saturated, but I do think it's worth starting a YouTube channel nowadays. But if you have the thought of starting a YouTube channel with photography in mind and do tutorials on that, I do think that the market is saturated. Do you think that Canada is more beautiful than Sweden? That's a tough one. I'm gonna say not the part that I was in. Which Peter is the better Peter at being a Peter? But I'm gonna say Peter. What is the rep range that you go for when you're working out? I'm gonna say 12 to 15, somewhere around that. Perfect mid-ground, I think. When did you decide to go bald? Like that was a choice. You don't decide when to go bald, you just go bald. What is the best decision in life that you've done? Cheers, Chris. Cheers, Chris. I think it's kind of hard to find one life-changing decision, but the moment where I started to think that I wanted to become a better and more positive person each and every single day, that has helped me a whole lot. Because walking around and saying I've always been like this, or I can change, this is who I am, that's not how life works. The mental state of being positive all the time is about practicing being positive. It's not something that you can become, but you can practice on it. And that is something that I think everyone should do once in a while. Wow, take a look at this. The pillow, very soft, thick, all good and cozy. Very kind. Great space to walk and eat some food, right? Prawns, sirloin, and the cabbage cake. I gotta say, I'm a little bit disappointed that you can't lay down entirely flat, because it kind of like arches your back a little bit, but it's definitely way more comfy than what I'm used to. And apparently they are still requiring you to have a mask on. Coming from Sweden, this was never an issue, you know, so it's very strange being told to have a mask on all the time, but that's how it goes. Rules are rules. Best to follow them. This is something I like. Ooh, that's nice.